Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Argus Wolf, and hang on a second while I turn the music down. Music. Oh crap! Everything is way loud here. I don't think we need it that loud. There. Turn the music down even more. Okay. So, again, this is Argus Wolf. Welcome back to Star Citizen. Tonight, I kind of wanted to go over. Obviously, I'm going to show you some more 2.4 gameplay. They're up to 2.4.0K for their patch, which is just awesome because they keep patching. This is like the second patch for the day.
Pilot, be advised, we've got hostile contacts.
Oh, excellent. But what I really wanted to go over today is one of the cool and key features of Star Citizen when it comes out. That's one of the things that they're starting to kind of roll out a lot more with 2.4. And I'm, aside from the shopping and all that, and that's consequences. Most MMOs, when you go out and you play, there are some consequences, but it's not. I mean, you die, you respawn somewhere, maybe you lose some loot or some gear, something like that. But there's really not a whole hell of a lot as far as consequences. You die, you come back, whatever.
Selection confirmed. Your ship is currently being delivered to the launch platform.
With Star Citizen, that's gonna be probably one of the key differences between Star Citizen and most other MMOs is the consequences in-game. For one thing, if you were paying attention when I went to the ship request screen, it actually mentioned insurance, which is for those of you who've played EVE Online, you're already fairly familiar with ship insurance, where basically, if your ship gets blown up while you're out and about, it will. If your ship is insured, then you can get your ship back at no real cost to you. I mean, you'll have to buy new gear and whatever cargo you had is lost, but the ship itself is
Landing complete.
is salvaged, more or less. You get a new ship for free, which is a really cool system, and it's really, really helpful, especially in a game where they're trying to get as close to real life as you can in an MMO. But that's only one of many consequence-based systems in the game. Let's see, another really good set of consequences is, of course, your criminal level. That is to say, if you do anything that I don't know, if you kill somebody that was not aggressor towards you, or you say turn off a comm relay, which helps security systems keep track of criminal activities, then you're gonna get criminal status. And again, this is similar in some form to the to faction status in other games, and there will be faction status in this game as well. But the criminal status is a completely different setup where you can be a criminal. You can actually have a criminal status. You can be considered an outlaw, and people can be dispatched to kill you or to bring you in as a bounty. It looks like they reset my UEC. Sure, why not? So, you can actually be a criminal in the eyes of the game universe, and I mean, you could just be a criminal. I mean, there's always the potential to be a criminal in the eyes of a regular another player, but again, with it could be a faction thing, any number of things, and of course with those criminal levels you have different consequences. Right now, those consequences are not huge, although one of the cool consequences they've just rolled out with 2.4 is the fact that if you get to a level 5 criminal status, which is the highest you can get, then you can actually get pardon me while I fight some pirates, but you can actually get missions that are criminal missions. They actually they will actually have some strange criminal organization or something that will offer you a job. And you never know, but the point is there are consequences to your actions in Star Citizen, which is awesome. Probably the biggest consequence, though, that they hand out is permadeath. And when I say permadeath, I don't just mean your character dies and then comes back the next day or whatever. I mean your character can be completely killed. As in they die, they are, they have a funeral, they're cremated, whatever the hell happens to them. Which is probably one of the cooler consequences in the game as far as I'm concerned. Because not only does your character die, but then, alright, first let me say this. Your character dies, it doesn't mean that you will never be able to play the game again. That would just be ridiculous. You don't want a game that's like, where if your character dies, you can never play it again. You'll actually, like, create, or you'll have like a next of kin that you can put in in your insurance paperwork or whatever, and when you die, when your character dies, if they die, which it won't be that easy. Don't worry, they're not going to make it like, they're not going to make it so that you die for no reason, or at least try not to die for no reason. But what it is you'll put down a next of kin, and when your current character dies, you will actually become that next of kin. So it's actually a really neat little system. But the point is, the creators, or the developers at CIG, the creators of Star Citizen, are really playing up the whole, there are consequences to your actions. What you do in-game will actually, if not make a huge difference in a galactic scale, it will make a difference with your livelihood in-game. So you might, if you want to be a criminal, you can, but there will be consequences to that. If you want to be a good guy, you can. There will be consequences to that too. I mean, it's one of the cooler features, I think, to Star Citizen. Everything you do will have some kind of repercussions.
Systems overheating.
And I'm honestly looking forward to it. I don't know about the rest of you guys. Ouch. That was interesting.
Get out of here while you still can.
I don't know about any of the rest of you guys, but I actually really look forward to a game where there are consequences to your actions. And I mean, there are other games that have similar setups. Like I said, EVE Online does insurance, and they do security levels, and most MMOs these days do have some kind of faction-based system.
System startup. Initiate.
Where you you can piss off certain people, and make friends with others and stuff like that. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of that in Star Citizen 2, I'm sure. But the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, like I said, is the fact that you can die in this game. And one of the big reasons I'm looking forward to that is because it's going to have a huge effect on gameplay. By that I mean, in a lot of MMOs, there are people who are very reckless. Obviously, a few glitches here. But there are some people who are very reckless in their playstyle. You know, they don't really care what's going on. They don't, you know, they just go out because they know their character is going to be okay. They're going to survive, and even if they die, I mean, most everybody knows the story of Leroy Jenkins. I mean, come on. It's kind of, it's like taking on a mythic proportion. The story of Leroy Jenkins, the guy who just not really paying attention to his group, decides he's going to run off into a map or into a raid without anyone's help. Or without knowing what's going on, and you know, he gets himself and everybody else killed, I believe.
Shields full.
But the thing is, I'm sure, you know, in World of Warcraft, you die, you respawn somewhere else, and yeah, there are some consequences, but your character more or less survives intact, maybe minus a few bits of equipment or whatever. I mean, don't quote me on that. I've never played World of Warcraft. I don't know how it works exactly. So, you know, in most MMOs out there, the consequences are fairly minimal. So people, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people who play MMOs who are very methodical in their approach. You know, especially the ones who've been around for a while, they know the system really well. They've developed a character that they really like, and they want to keep them going. So they put a lot of effort into keeping them alive. You know, keeping all their gear, because they know what happens if, you know, if their character dies. Maybe you know, they'll lose something if the character dies. But there are some who don't. You know, there are some who are like, you know what? They're just gonna rush into a dungeon, into a raid, whatever, and they're gonna go, you know, kill whoever, and they figure, you know what? If I die, no big deal. I'll just come back to life at a respawn point or something. Which, I mean, is a valid play style. I mean, let's face it, if it's possible to do it that way, why not? And there are people like that in Star Citizen currently. You know, they don't care. They'll shoot whoever they feel like, whenever they feel like. They'll, you know, whatever. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's going to exist no matter what happens. There are always going to be people like that and whatever, but as far as, you know, just straight up combat, you're gonna have to be a little bit more thoughtful about it, because all right, one of the primary fighting styles in Star Citizen right now is called jousting. For those of you who haven't played Star Citizen and don't know, it's basically what it sounds like. You've got two ships who line up nose to nose, and they shoot at each other, and basically whoever, well, it's like playing a game of chicken with guns, you know. They line up on each other, they shoot at each other, and they hope for the best. You know, they figure someone will win. They just hope it's them. And in that case, sometimes, you know, your shield quality, your armor quality, your weapon quality, that kind of makes a difference. But it's a really, really irresponsible way to fight, because, again, at that point it becomes more about your equipment and less about your skill. and there are going to be a lot of people who just can't afford to take that kind of chance.
Tessa to random ship. Come in, random ship.
I'll get back to that in just a second. I love this dialogue
Welcome
here.
to the neighborhood. Second class junior cartographer Tessa Bannister reporting in. I'm the eyes behind all the ICC scan probes in the area. What these little guys see, I see. Which,
It's not much of a little guy, is it?
Totally see you. Right now. Anyway, there was actually a reason to why I commed. I'm sort of not allowed to leave my post. Got jump point scanning and all. So I was hoping you might be able to help me with something. If you have a second, could you check out these coordinates? Scans are saying something's there, but can't ID it.
Okay, so getting back to what I was saying earlier, jousting's a really simple. That's not what I want to do. Really simple way of dogfighting, but it certainly favors. Well, I mean, if you never know who it's going to favor, you might get in some lucky shots. You might not. However, with the system they're putting in place, with insurance and with permadeath, and again, it's not permadeath like you'll never be able to play the game again. It's permadeath like you have to move on to a new character. You actually have to be a little bit more thoughtful, a little bit more responsible with how you go about doing things, because there are going to be consequences for how you pilot, how you fight, and it's going to encourage people to, and this is kind of getting away from in-game consequences and more towards the consequences for gamers themselves, is that they'll actually have to develop maybe a more advanced playstyle, I guess you could say, because they're gonna be like, hey, I could joust like this, but eventually they're gonna die enough times by doing it and have to pay insurance premiums time and time again, and eventually they will end up killing a character by doing that, and it's just gonna turn out to be like, hey, can't keep doing that because I keep dying every time I do it.
Bogey.
So.
Bogey. Scanning.
So, it might encourage players to do more in terms of developing more complex, more involved play styles or flight styles, because, if you're not really afraid of dying, you'll take a lot more chances. I'm not saying you need to be afraid of dying in this game, but you certainly want to think about it a bit more, because it is a reality. It's a reality in this game. You can, you can easily have characters get shot down. I mean, I remember when I was younger, and I played things like X-Wing or Wing Commander or whatnot, and when you died, and you had to start over. Like in X-Wing especially, because I mean this one I remember for sure because I've played it more recently. I bought an updated version of it. When you get shot down, your character has one of a couple of things happen. They either died in a fireball, they managed to eject and were rescued by the Imperials, or they might have been rescued by the good guys, but I didn't see that very often. In either case, unless you were rescued by your people, you would end up having to start all over again. It was more or less death every time. So it kind of encouraged players to put a little more thought into how they did things, be a little less reckless about it. I mean, you're going to have people who are reckless no matter what, and it'll pay off for them. I mean, they say fortune favors the bold, and in some cases that's true. But
Bogey. Bogey. Scanning.
But I mean, not always. You know, you're going to have some who are going to play it fast and loose, and who are going to do well with it, and it's going to work out for them. But you're also going to have those who will, as a result, be a little more cautious about it. I mean, they'll take chances just like everybody else, but it'll be, you know, they won't be nearly as risky as, you know, a game where death doesn't matter. And that's again one of the things that I absolutely love about Star Citizen is that is going to be a thing, so to speak. It's going to be, and they're starting to roll that out more and more here.
Bogey. Scanning.
They're starting to roll those consequences out more and more.
Bogey. Bogey. Scanning. Scanning.
And like I said, the criminal levels, the insurance. One of the new things that they're rolling out with 2.4, at least that they've got in
Systems overheating.
the PTU currently, is that when your ship gets blown up, first off, you have a cooldown timer that varies depending on your ship. So if your ship gets blown up, it takes a certain period of time before you can respawn it for free. If you want to respawn it quicker than before the cooldown timer elapses, then you have to pay a certain fee, and I don't know how much the fee is, but that varies depending on ship.
Hey, Jenny, think you could head on back and whip us up a cup of something hot? I'm about to
Just
pass
as
out. Got a contact. Multiples. Let's see what the ridges say. Not coming up. Forget the drink. I need you on shield now!
Where'd my ship go? Anyways, the amount of time it takes before the cooldown elapses, and the amount of money you have to pay if you want to get your ship a little bit quicker, they all vary based on the ship that you're the ship that you were in or that you're trying to spawn. So, but that's just kind of whoa, that's not good. I might get to show you the cooldown timer. But that just kind of shows you how, as they start getting more towards persistence within the universe, and start adding the consequences, or as they start becoming more and more persistent, they start adding things like the economy, things like that. They are adding more and more consequences for things like having your ship blown out from under you, like I just did, or come on, for having your ship blown out from under you, or committing criminal acts, or any number of other things. Alright, well, it looks like Star Citizen has decided to kind of crap out on me. Yeah, it timed out. So, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there, but really what I wanted to talk about tonight, and I've been going at it, talking about it at length, is the fact that Star Citizen is going to be fraught with consequences for your actions. Anywhere from the really basic that you earn money for doing any number of things to actually having permanent character death. It's a whole huge string of consequences that will affect everyone who plays, and I really like that, and I really like the fact that it will at least to a certain extent cause players to have to think a little bit more about what they're doing in game. And I really look forward to seeing how that changes the game dynamic over time. I mean, like I said, they've just started working on persistence, or on bringing persistence into the game with 2.4 in the PTU, and with that persistence comes certain consequences, the criminal levels, which have already been in since 2.2, I think. The payment, the insurance, you know, the fact that at least currently when you respawn, it costs money, or it will eventually. You know, these are all consequences. They're all varying levels of consequences, and I personally really look forward to what those consequences do to gameplay in the future. I'm really looking forward to actually having to be a smarter player in order to make the most out of my game. Otherwise, it's gonna be like I'm gonna be 20 generations in. I'm gonna be like my 20th grandchild or whatever. If all I do is just throw my ship at other ships and whatever. Um, so yeah, consequences are gonna be a big thing. I really like it. I'm looking forward to it. Um, you know, and I mean, let me know what you think about it. Tell me what you think about the various consequences and levels of consequences that are going to be in Star Citizen. What you think might be a result of it, whether you like it, whether you don't. Feel free to comment. I will certainly do my best to answer any questions you have, like always. In the meantime, I will see you next time.